A 7-year-old boy pushed open the door of the biker clubhouse, his small hands trembling, his backpack hanging crooked off one shoulder. 30 leather-clad bikers turned toward him, confused, surprised, and silent. "My name is Owen Miller," he said in a shaking voice. "My dad was Officer David Miller, and I need help." Every biker in that room froze. They knew that name, Officer Miller. The cop shot 3 weeks earlier during a traffic stop by gang members who swore they'd kill anyone who attended his funeral. Tank, a massive biker covered in ink, stepped forward. "Hey, kid, you lost?" Owen shook his head and pulled a folded paper from his backpack. "My dad's funeral is on Saturday. Nobody's coming." The room went quiet enough to hear the boy's breath hitch. "What do you mean, nobody?" Reaper asked gently. Owen stared at his shoes. "Dad didn't have family anymore. Grandma died last year. Mom left when I was a baby. His friends say they want to come, but they're scared because the people who killed him said they'd shoot anyone who shows up." The boy swallowed hard, his voice cracking. "It's just going to be me. Me and 2 police officers who have to be there. My dad was a hero. I don't want him buried alone." Something heavy settled in the room. Tank knelt down to Owen's eye level. "Why'd you come to us?" Owen pulled out a newspaper article, a story about the club doing a toy drive for sick kids. "I saw this. You help people." And he hesitated, then whispered, "You're not scared bad guys." He looked around the room, hope trembling in his eyes. "Will you please come to my dad's funeral so he's not alone?" Reaper stood, rubbing the back of his neck. "Kid, your dad was a cop. We're bikers. Those worlds don't really mix." "I know," Owen said, voice trembling but brave. "But my dad always said the devil's disciples weren't bad people. He said you treated him with respect every time he pulled you over. He said you followed the law, even though other cops didn't like you." Then he pulled out one last thing. A photo of his father smiling in uniform. "Please, I just want my hero to have people there." That broke something in every man in that room. Tank's voice was thick. "Give us a minute, kid." The bikers stepped into the back room for church. The debate exploded instantly. "We can't go to a cop's funeral," Snake snarled. "People will think we're cozying up to the department." A 7-year-old boy asked us to help him bury his father. Hammer shot back. "Right and wrong don't depend on the badge." "That gang threatened to shoot anyone who attends," someone warned. Tank slammed his hand on the table. "When did we start being scared of gang threats?" The room went silent. He continued, voice low and fierce. "That kid walked in here, knowing who we are, knowing our reputation, and he begged us to stand with him. How many of you would want your kid burying you alone?" Slowly, every hand lifted. The vote was unanimous. Tank walked back out. Owen stood waiting, clutching the photo of his dad like it was the last solid thing in his world. "We'll be there," Tank said. "All of us." Owen's face lit up with relief, so pure it made even Reaper look away. Saturday morning dawned cold and gray. Owen arrived at the cemetery with his temporary foster mother, expecting an empty field. Instead, he saw motorcycles, rows and rows of them, chrome flashing, engines rumbling, leather vests from every club in the region, Devil's Disciples, Iron Saints, Road Warriors, Banditos. Even clubs that hated each other stood side by side. 200 bikers gathered in silence for a murdered officer. Owen stared with wide, tear-filled eyes. You came..." Tank put a gentle hand on his shoulder. "We gave you our word, kid." The 2 police officers assigned to the funeral looked shocked. They had expected an empty funeral. Maybe a handful of mourners. Instead, a sea of leather stood waiting. The service began. Owen sat in the front row, holding his father's photo against his chest like a shield. When it was time for eulogies, the boy stood on shaking legs. "My dad was the best dad," he whispered. "He taught me everything. He protected people. He protected me. He died doing what he always did, helping." Tears streamed down his cheeks. "Thank you for coming. Dad would have liked that you're here." After the final prayer, they lowered Officer Miller's casket. Tank stepped forward and snapped a perfect military salute. Dozens of veteran bikers followed, Then something incredible happened. One by one, every biker walked past a casket and placed a patch from their vest onto it. 40 different clubs, 40 different colors, all honoring one fallen officer. Your father protected this community. Tank said, "Today, all of us protect his memory." Cars screeched to a halt nearby. 3 vehicles full of gang members stepped out. The same crew who murdered Officer Miller. They came to make good on their threat. In a heartbeat, 200 bikers formed a wall of leather and steel between them and the funeral. "You boys lost?" Tank asked calmly. The gang leader tried to look tough. "We got business here." "No," Tank said. "What you got is one chance to walk away." They looked at the bikers, at the numbers, at the silent fury. They got back in their cars and left without another word. A police officer approached Tank afterward. "Thank you," he said quietly. "We couldn't have protected them alone." Tank shrugged. "We weren't going to let anything ruin that kid's goodbye." When the cemetery emptied out, Owen came over with a letter. "My dad wrote this for me in case he didn't come home," he whispered. He opened it with shaking hands. "Owen, don't judge people by how they look. Some of the best men I ever met wore leather and rode motorcycles. If you ever need help, find the Devil's Disciples. Tell them your father was David Miller. They'll take care of you." By the end, every biker had tears in his eyes. "Your dad knew us," Tank said softly. "He saw past everything." "He knew you were good guys," Owen replied. And he was right. Owen was later adopted by his father's former partner, a family who loved him deeply. But he still visited the club. He became their kid, their honorary brother. 3 months later, the bikers surprised him with something big. They had raised $15,000 for his future. "Your father would want you to have every chance in life," Tank said. This is from every club that came to honor him. 6 months later, the gang that threatened the funeral was arrested on major charges. Thanks to an anonymous tip. No one asked questions. Everyone already knew. A 7-year-old boy once walked into a biker clubhouse alone. He left with 200 men who would protect him forever. Because family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's leather, chrome, and men who keep their promises.